Hi friends, hope you all are having an awesome day today. There are a couple of things that I want to go and talk to you about, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Tencent has invested $296 million into Ubisoft for an indirect stake in the company. Now, for those of you that do not know, the difference between an indirect and a direct stake investment is that, well, when you have an indirect investment, you are essentially investing in kind of like a holdings company, kind of like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or whatever it may be. These are essentially holding companies that allow you to invest directly in them, but you also own small portions of a company. So the S&P 500, there's 500 companies that are within it. You technically, when you invest $1, that dollar is split amongst the 500 companies that are there. With a direct investment, it's a little bit different. So that's kind of like open up Webull or like Robinhood, and you invest into Apple. So you buy a share or however many shares of Apple that you want. Whenever it comes down to voting, you technically have the voting power that is reflective of however many shares that you have. When it comes to an indirect stake investment, you do not have any voting rights. You don't. In this instance, it's weird because Tencent is not only investing into Ubisoft, but they're also investing into the parent company, Guillemot Brothers Limited. And correct me if I'm wrong in that pronunciation. Tencent is going to have a 49.9% stake in that limited company, but they're also going to have a 5% voting right, which is weird, but whatever, I digress. When it comes to Ubisoft and the shares that they own of Ubisoft, they technically cannot sell those shares for 5 years, but when it comes time to actually, selling the shares, if they want to sell the shares, the Guillemot brothers, they actually have preemptive rights to it, that they can go ahead and buy those shares first before anyone else. It's really, really odd, and it's really, really weird. Tencent, in the midst of all of this transaction with Ubisoft and the Guillemot family and whatnot, they've also decided to allow for a long-term loan to be provided to Ubisoft as well as its parent company in order to allow them to manage their debt. A lot of people have kind of given a little bit of criticism to Tencent, but they see that as an opportunity to invest in this company, and they also want to go ahead and see Ubisoft be successful, which is definitely hard to do given all of the sexual misconduct and things that have been happening in the workplace. They haven't necessarily been the best when it comes to the limelight of things. Now, I personally have been somewhat of a fan of Assassin's Creed, but hopped off like forever ago, and I haven't played any of the most recent titles. But when it comes to Ubisoft as a company, it leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, we've seen what has happened with some of their other IPs, and I don't know. I hope that they can go ahead and kind of come back and fix whatever issues they've had. I know that they've shaken things up in terms of upper management, but overall, I don't know. We'll see what happens. The next thing that I want to go and talk to you about is the PlayStation 5 update. And honestly, guys, I'm so hyped for it because this is something that I've been wanting on the PlayStation 5 since its release. This was something that was available in the Xbox side of things. There was always native 1440p resolution support straight out of the box when it came to Xbox, no pun intended on that. But when it came to the PlayStation 5, it was either 1080 or 4K. Personally, I'd be okay with 1440p if that meant that I could get higher frames per second while I was gaming. I've always been a fan of frames per second over resolution because to me, I don't care how many pixels are on screen. If I'm getting screen tear, if I'm getting, motion blur all over the place and I'm not actually being able to see what's going on, or the game just seems choppy because I'm not getting smooth frames, then it kind of takes me out of the immersion and it kind of makes things a little bit, worse, especially on the console side of things. Obviously, PC gamers, frames are everything, especially when you have a high refresh rate monitor or downstairs a high refresh rate television. You want to go ahead and get as many frames as possible. So the fact that PlayStation 5 is getting 1440p support, at least in a stable build, is nice. We've already seen that available for beta users or beta testers. Finally being able to see that in stable is awesome. There are other things that are going to be releasing with this update. For instance, there's going to be a YouTube search through voice command that is only going to be available with accounts registered for the US or the UK. There's also going to be games lists, which is essentially folders. You're going to be able to have 100 games per games list and have a total of up to 15 games lists per console. I personally think that that's awesome because you're finally going to be able to organize everything and keep things kind of like, you know, tidy when it comes to your PlayStation 5. Things can get pretty hectic on a PlayStation 5 without any form of organization. There's also other things. For example, you can request a screen share through the application. There's also this nice nifty notification whenever one of your friends on your friends list is actually playing a game that you can go ahead and join in. There's going to be a notification that pops up on screen that says, hey, so-and-so is playing this game. Do you want to join in? It's just nice to be able to play with your friends after all. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below about Tencent and that crazy investment with all the stipulations that are there, as well as the PlayStation 5 update. Are you hyped for it? Or are you just like, man, I play Xbox and we've had that forever. Anyways, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.